Welcome back, everybody, to the Streakers Island podcast. You might be getting sick of me, at least, because this is my second episode of the day, but I have a panel back with me. I don't know if you boys missed the beginning. It was me, myself, and I at the start of the show earlier on today.
I caught about the last 30 seconds of that, and I was like, this is disastrous. We better find out some help.
Hey, I used to do our old show sometimes when you were busy. I
know.
But, of course, joined by Mr. Lane, Dashing Dashco, and special guest Dan Gray, former co-host of 705 Sports.
That would be me. See, did you notice while we were off at that movie, I put my last name in so Lane would not get confused any further?
Yeah, as soon as we're about to go on, Lane just says, hey, Dan, are you in a hotel or something?
Lane's like, which one is? No, Lane. We'll just make this simpler, especially knowing that your brother's coming along there, Jacob.
Yeah, and Mr. More for Your Money will be on shortly. So the Saskatchewan RoughRiders improved to 5-1, moved to second in the West. They are not first because obviously they lost to Calgary in pretty bad fashion that game. But I think this is a real good statement game for the RoughRiders. Felt like they had control pretty much this whole game. They're not going to love the way they let BC climb back. But, I mean, in the CFL, no lead is really safe.
No.
And we've seen that this week.
But we got to, with that comment, what we said off camera, why the hell are you putting in your number 2 defense with 2 minutes left, 2.5 minutes left, and you're up not by 21?
21? Stupid. I do agree with you, though, Dan. Like, I don't. And number 2, then, why is BC not pushing the ball downfield faster in that moment? Because even if you get the onside kick, you got 15 seconds to go 60 yards.
I don't think they have confidence in their mid to long range game. Period. They do not have a receiver. They do not have a deep threat receiver.
Yes, they still have McInnes, and Eberhardt's having a nice year. Barry Hill, although I don't know why Barry Hill was celebrating the first down towards the end of the game like he just won the Grey Cup. It's like, bro, you're down 2 scores with a minute left. What are you doing? But I don't know. At the end of the day, I do agree with you, though, Dan. I don't agree with the way the clock was managed there for the RoughRiders at the end.
You want to know what the biggest concern is right now, Jacob, for Saskatchewan? The loss of Carey.
Yeah, Kadeem Carey. Welcome to the show, Mr. More for Your Money. I'm assuming his mic is turned off because he usually forgets to turn it on before we start.
I just saw the score. I see I was collecting the Riders won.
Yeah,
but we were right. Did not see, Dan. We were just talking Kadeem Carey, we believe, broke his leg today.
And we will be, I think it's probably a double knee by the looks of the way that he came down there. Well, if it doesn't come back as an MCL and ACL or one or the other, the leg looked relatively intact when he was hopping off, but he couldn't put any pressure on it, which means knee, ankle. But the very slow-mo of the replay that I'm sure at least 3 of us went back and watched was pretty devastating.
Yeah. Well, about Olette, was he playing?
Well, he was, but like this was the first time since they've grabbed Carey that I feel Saskatchewan was trying to use a 2-quarterback system. I mean, a 2 running back.
2 running back. Although if Carey threw the ball, it might be better than some of their backups.
Oh boy,
I mean, but at the end of the day, here, another thing that I don't know if you boys will agree with me or you think that I'm out to lunch. I think this game we saw the definition of Nathan Rourke's last 2 years. He has some moments that are incredible. And then he has some other moments, and you're like, why is this guy a starting quarterback? He has not been able, I would say, since he came back to the CFL, besides of when he plays Edmonton, he has not been able to put together a game. Wow. He kind of reminds me of Trey Ford. It's a guy that can make a lot of explosive plays. He can use his feet well. He can make these highlight reel plays. Like the 1 touchdown to Eberhardt was crazy. The 2-point convert when he does a 360 spin to avoid a sack and then perfect throw to the end zone was crazy. But then you look at the final drive, he's got Hatcher open on a deep ball, goes for the medium route, and it gets intercepted. Like it's a tale of 2 tales with Nathan Rourke.
That's a vision thing, and that's always been his problem, though, Jacob. He's always had a vision issue. He locks in on his preferred whoever it's going to be, and he gets intercepted because of it for that exact reason. He doesn't see that deep guy wide open. But it doesn't matter where he's played. That has been a problem for his game since probably even university and college ball.
Yeah, even if you read his IQ sheets coming out of college ball, Dan, you're right. They talked about how he locks into a receiver. And I think it's what held him back making it into the NFL. And you got to wonder, too, how are BC fans feeling watching VA? I get he's also making some bad decisions at times, but VA is absolutely killing it in Calgary now that he's comfortable with that offense. And you're seeing Nathan Rourke playing very inconsistent.
Let's be honest here. He's picked up a lot of offensive line protection going to Calgary, though, too.
Oh, we did. And BC's offensive line is not, I'd say, middle pack. It's okay. Versus Calgary's got a Calgary's got a good offensive and defensive line. I mean, I've said this. I think Calgary's the team to beat, but Saskatchewan does want to show, mind you, no points in the fourth quarter for Saskatchewan. They almost pulled a Toronto in this game. I don't know why they let off the gas as much as they did at the end, because there was still time. Even after the interception, I was really surprised to see Trevor Harris come out and Tommy Stevens come in, at least especially when they had a second and long situation. Put Trevor Harris back out there, throw the ball, and get the first down.
Should you say, though, or could you say, though, without a whole lot of tough competition, that Calgary's overachieving so far?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. They've have 3 straight wins against Saskatchewan, Winnipeg, and Winnipeg. Like, that's tough.
Let's be honest, that Winnipeg of this year is not the Winnipeg of the previous 3 or 4 years.
Oh, no, 100%. We're seeing a change of the guard in the CFL right now. I really feel that, because Toronto and Winnipeg were the top teams. And now I think it's Calgary and Hamilton for respectively in the East and West.
Yeah, baby.
But if you put Calgary up against Montreal for the Grey Cup, the way they're playing right now, don't the Alouettes win that?
No, I don't think so.
I don't know. Because Montreal, but you guys are forgetting Montreal's a defense that creates a lot of turnovers. VA is a quarterback that
throws a lot of turnovers. You're making my point, Jacob.
So
you also got
a tough one. That's a tough one.
Most of Calgary wins are 20 points or more, except for 2 of them. Like they're just dominating teams. Like almost every win is.
They haven't played Montreal yet, though, have they? I have to go back and look.
I'm double checking their good old schedule. And Calgary this year,
you went over. It was only 2 wins that were only less than 20-point victories.
They've played so far. They started off the year. Oh no, I'm back in the last year.
Hang on,
okay. So they started off against Hamilton, then Toronto, lost to Ottawa, but that was a weird game. It was just a whole lot of rain. Then you went to Winnipeg, Saskatchewan, Winnipeg.
Yeah.
So no, Dan, they have not faced
Montreal.
And when they did face Hamilton before the Lawler and Mitchell connection was really clicking, it was a close matchup, a 38-26 matchup.
Every match is going to be
wonder what. Go ahead, Lane.
I was just saying that every match is going to be interesting because back then Hamilton was still trying to find their way there. And Hamilton made a close game out of that, like even though it didn't look close, but it was close on the stat sheet. Now that Hamilton's got Lawler and Bo Levi Mitchell and Vernon Adams, when they meet again, that's going to be a game to get some popcorn. There's going to be a lot of offense flying in that game.
And I agree with you there. And you might see those Hamilton games where they play Montreal. Hamilton's probably the closest type of offense as you get to Calgary out in the West. Now, Are they a preliminary for Montreal? Because if they are, then Calgary's going to have some trouble with that Montreal defense.
Now, Montreal, though, we don't know how far they're going to slip with Davis Alexander potentially being on the 6-game injured list again with that hamstring.
That's brutal.
Because MBT puts up decent numbers.
Season, yeah.
But, I mean, MBT puts up decent numbers, but he can't seem to put together a lot of wins. Mm-hmm. So, all of a sudden, Montreal, let's say the next 6 goes 2-4. Ottawa and or Toronto remembers that you need to score more points than the other team, all of a sudden the East becomes very interesting. And this is where, too, if a crossover this year being very possible, Ottawa and Toronto, they're going to have to be really prepared when they play BC, because this was a chance for BC to jump over Winnipeg today. I really thought they would have came out with more chutzpah. The first quarter, they just looked dead. Like they were DOA.
But even when they found themselves, Jacob, they didn't look like they could match the competition for.
No, they didn't.
For Saskatchewan. Like,
however,
Saskatchewan by
the
third quarter,
too long.
Sask by the third quarter was on cruise control, which probably isn't the best plan in the CFL, but they were. We did get over 59 points, though, Mr. Moore, for your money.
Yeah, there we go.
Not by much, but we did call it. It's going to be a low-scoring game.
I know it's a high tax, but I know these two teams are very offensive-oriented, so I kind of figured we would. I just want to add one comment about Trey Ford and Nathan York. I find this comparison very interesting to me because of both young stud Canadian quarterbacks that were predicted to be franchise quarterbacks. In my opinion, they both failed miserably. Now, the one thing differently between York and Ford, I find York is very cocky and very focused on himself, versus Trey Ford, I see more as a leader and a team player and not cocky.
I think it's more we haven't seen enough of Trey Ford to establish if he is or if he isn't. He hasn't done enough to be cocky. Say what you want about Nathan Rourke. He's had his moments in this league. Where
and he also had moments of holding a clipboard for 4 years in the NFL.
So I have a question.
No one cares about what he did in the NFL. Winston McManus couldn't make a starting lineup in the NFL. He's arguably the best linebacker in the CFL. Austin Mack couldn't make a lineup in the NFL. He's one of the best receivers in the CFL. It's not even it's a skill issue. They're just different games. Like Nathan Rourke's playing style, in my opinion, doesn't suit the NFL. The NFL is pocket passing, look for the 3-yard play, run the ball a bunch, kill the clock, people get really drunk, and then they go home. That's not the CFL. Lane, go ahead.
Well, I have a question, and it kind of, I don't know what, I know this is kind of out of left field, but I'll relate it. Do you kind of find these players like your Trey Fords and your Nathan Rourkes, here's my I guess what I'm trying to ask. Like, I'm thinking about Trevor Zegras in the NHL, and I'll explain why I'm bringing him into this conversation. I feel like players like this, when they play their sport, there's a lot of guys that are in this certain role where they make these highlight reel plays, and they're super fun, and they get the TikToks and they get the clicks because they make these plays that your superstars maybe can't make, right? You see these 60-yard passes or these crazy run up and down the field throws, 80-yard throws, which is good what your Nathan Rourke do, what your Trey Ford does, but they don't have enough skill to, like you said, put the game together, right? They can do it once or twice in a game, maybe sometimes 3. Maybe they can put together a game-winning 80-pass drive that is miraculous and ends up on Sportsnet for the next 6 months. But at the end of the day, when it comes to playoffs and getting a team, when you need like a Bo Levi Mitchell or somebody's experienced like Vernon Adams, he makes big plays, but he's also got a lot of skills. Bo Levi Mitchell can make big plays, but he also does all the little things right. I feel like some of these skilled quarterbacks like Trey Ford and like Nathan Rourke are kind of in the same spot where it's like, yeah, you're going to be on TikTok with your 100,000 70-yard play, but what are you going to do the rest of the game? And there's a lot of holes and inconsistencies in their games.
I think real play versus full game. Yeah, you could argue like a Mitch Marner.
Yeah, Mitch Marner.
Also, too, I think we got to give a lot of credit to Trevor Harris, 39 years old, and he's arguably the best quarterback in the entire.
I think he's 37. He's 39.
I got to roll, guys. Got a call.
Thanks very much, Dan, for joining us. We'll see you later.
See you, boss.
But Dan Gray is a chase reporter, by the way. So when he gets the call, he goes faster than Batman.
What call?
Probably a fire or something. But what's interesting here is Batman. So Trevor Harris now is the first quarterback in Canadian football history. And I want to see if this is an NFL record or not, what the NFL record is for this. He has 9 straight games of at least 70% completion percent.
Wow. And
that's just insane. His efficiency rating right now is 118.
Wow.
Like, I mean, like over the last 2 games, he's thrown 826 yards. I mean, you could argue last game he didn't even play that well.
Yeah, Jacob, he doesn't have anything to complain about today. He had a good day.
But what Trevor Harris is doing at his age is just remarkable. I mean, Bo Levi Mitchell's similar situation, an older guy who I think right now it's a toss-up between Mitchell and Harris at who's a better quarterback. I could see the argument.
And Collaros is older too.
Yeah, but Dan Collaros is nowhere near what these guys are doing.
You give him time, he'll catch up.
No, he won't. I honestly think Collaros, he's got a 97.6 efficiency rating. Yeah, okay, he's completing just under 75% of his passes, which is good, but 7 touchdowns to 6 interceptions, that's not good.
I'll give it time.
When you're Dan, no, I've given it enough time, Dan. He's already played 5. He's already played 4 games.
So how old is Zach Collaros and Bo Levi Mitchell? 37?
I don't know.
No, Bo Levi Mitchell's. I'll look it up. Bo Levi Mitchell's got to be way older than Zach Collaros.
I don't think so. They came in around the same time.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
No way.
Bo Levi Mitchell's 35, which again for football players. Zach Collaros is 36, so Zach Collaros is actually
he's older.
Yeah, I thought he was.
What?
I thought he was.
What? That's crazy.
Don't forget, Lane, when we won the Argos 2 Grey Cups in 2017, I believe 2012, with Ricky Way, Zach Collaros and Trevor Harris were our second and first string rookie quarterbacks for the Argos.
I feel like I'm living in
way because we had Ricky Way, who's a Hall of Famer, arguably one of the best quarterbacks of all time. And we traded them away to get our 2 Grey Cups, but we did draft them originally.
But I'm curious for you boys, where does BC go from here? Like, I think you gotta find a way to make this offense more efficient. I don't know if it's running more RPOs because I do feel Nathan Rourke is better when he's rolling out of the pocket versus a pocket passer. Like, I think that's more his strength. Have him use his legs more because Nathan Rourke, 27 for 41, 337, but about 70 of those yards was the final drive in garbage time. 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. But to be honest, you could have had 3 interceptions tonight. Like, there was 2 drops from Saskatchewan. And, I mean, give Rourke credit where credit's due. He did help this team hang around. Like BC hung around the whole game.
Well,
but I obviously you're starting Nathan Rourke next week. I don't mean your next game. I don't mean that. But I just really do wonder, where does BC go to find a way to get some consistency on offense and defense, honestly, because I think the defense isn't playing good enough either.
Well,
they have a home and home next against Hamilton.
Well, you brought his name up earlier, and just looking up his stat line here, we got to talk about their receiver here, Justin McInnes. You're like Tim White levels of bad today with your one catch on 7 throws. Come on.
Now, mind you, half of the throws were 7 inches too tall.
Yeah.
Like a lot of these throws that were targeted to him were not catchable balls tonight.
Still, I think Dan Gray has a point. When he said, they don't have confidence in their long game. How can you have confidence in your long game if your receivers aren't making catches? And how can you have confidence if Nathan Rourke is missing his target by 7 feet, right?
And this is going to sound weird to you guys, but the Lions have a really important stretch in the East coming up because the Lions, I think they're a crossover team if they make the playoffs. Yeah. And you have Hamilton, Montreal, Toronto, Ottawa. That's truthfully, that's big for BC because BC is potentially a crossover team, depending on what Winnipeg does, depending on how long Zach Collaros is out with that rumored concussion injury. We don't know for sure yet. There's nothing been.
We'll find out on Monday.
We'll find out more on Monday. But you look at that, normally an Eastern swing wouldn't be so big, but that's a big
this year could be.
Well, I think with BC, I think we gotta use a running game more.
I agree.
And the other thing too is we all knew what York was going to be. We knew that York divided dressing room last year, and probably so many players are still divided this year. So are we really surprised about the result? I think if anything, I think BC is better than what I expected they would be at the beginning of the year. My only thing is, if we're going to keep struggling, I would blame Buck Pierce. Buck Pierce is a rookie head coach.
No.
He's a legendary offensive coordinator, but can he do both? I don't know.
I'm not blaming Buck Pierce right now. I think for BC, I don't even know if there was controversy in the dressing room last year. Everyone knows that. But I don't know how much it was Nathan Rourke's fault or if it was Rick Campbell's fault for just not giving VA the ball back when he got held.
Oh, yeah, I'm not blaming Nathan York. I mean, he just showed up, right? I'm not saying it's his fault. Yeah. I think it's the fault of the managing, and I also think it's the fault of the owner. I think the owner.
But at the same time, that was last year, and you can't use that as an excuse. Only teams you've been able to beat is Edmonton and Montreal without their starting quarterback.
I get that, but I'm just saying a lot of the players from last year that had the divided dressing room are back, and a lot of those players like VA better. And we're saying VA dominating Calgary. You got Masoli, who I loved Masoli when he was younger, but he's not the quarterback that he used to be. So it's just 100% York's team.
As a Ticat fan, I got to be honest, I was never a big Mazzoli guy.
No, I know. He had some rough. He was another one that had some really rough moments. You saw some huge highlight plays from him, and then he would completely fall apart in the game too. But now that he's even older and after 2 serious injuries, he's not the quarterback that he used to be. It's not like, look at Edmonton, for example. If Trey Ford falls apart, you have Cody Fajardo. If I know he's not winning games now, but if Alexander's injury, this is because Bethel Thompson's time to sign in and step up, right? But with BC, if York keeps going kind of 50-50, I'm not confident in putting Masoli in. I feel bad saying I actually like the guy on the personal level, but as a quarterback right now, you can't do it. So York has to figure this out.
Well, in the end, the only thing for Nathan Rourke is I don't think it's solely on him because you look at the defense in BC, and this season you gave up 28 against. You gave up the games you won. You gave up 14 and 20. The games you lost, you gave up 27, 37, and 33. So, yes, Nathan Rourke, I agree with you, Dan, needs to be better. But I also think this defense has to also contribute more. The defense did a good job in the second half. But at the same time, Saskatchewan also was just like, okay, we're just not going to make any mistakes at this point in the game. And that's how we're going to come back and win this one. That's how we're going to hold on to win. I think the Lions, your defense needs to help your quarterback as well.
No, I agree.
The way to help them is to, even the stops they got, the Riders drove down the field enough that it wasn't good field position to start with in the first place, and you're driving 80, 90 yards down the field. Maybe if Rourke's only got to go 60 to 50 yards down the field, you might have a better result. So, yes, Nathan Rourke needs to be better, but it's kind of like in Toronto, you can't put the whole thing on Nick Arbuckle. No, and I don't think you can put the whole thing on Nathan Rourke. I think there's a defensive structure problem in BC. I'm just not seeing the games they're losing. They're giving up either just under or over 30. Well, and I think maybe the recipes for success for them is to keep teams into that like high teens to low 20s. And that's when they seem to be getting good results.
The other thing with BC, I think it's getting swept underneath the carpet because of Nathan York is Betts. Betts was another player who was really talented in the CFL, left the CFL, go to the NFL, and didn't work out, and it came back. Now, I don't blame him for going NFL and trying it. Obviously, you're going to try and go for millions of dollars. I get that. But because he's so good, and because he left and he came back, you had to pay him big money to keep him here. And because of that, you had to strip down a lot of your defense to make it all fit in the salary cap. So you gave up some good, mediocre players to bring in this superstar. And I think if it's any team sport, you can't just blame one guy, right? You win as a team, you lose as a team. And I think with BC, I think we're so focused on their couple young studs, which is fantastic. But in salary cap world, you don't have that much left. Okay, so you got those two. You got Hatcher for running backs. Kid, who's their running back?
In BC, Butler.
Thank you, Buckler. So there's like 4 really talented high-paying players right there. After they're very legendary kicker.
On White.
White, yeah. So it's 5 really good, special, high-talent CFL players. And we're kind of seeing the same thing in Toronto, in my opinion, too, of the Argos. You gave Chad Kelly all that money, which he very well deserved it. But because he's the second highest paid quarterback in the CFL, you can't afford anything else. And now that Chad Kelly's injured, well, now we're seeing that, right? So
it is the problem. We see it in hockey too. When you pay, like, look at Edmonton. If you shut down McDavid and Draisaitl, you shut down the Oilers. You look at the Leafs, you shut down Matthews and Marner, you shut down the Leafs. Versus you look at the Winnipeg Blue Bombers when they've had this success. Zach Collaros is mid-pack for being paid as a quarterback, so it gives them the money to have the big money in defense, have a lot of money in a running back. And same with Calgary. I think VA being in mid-pack for salary is a steal for Calgary, getting VA around that 360 range. When you look at Nathan Rourke's being paid, I believe it's like around 900,000, Kelly around 600,000.
Yeah.
Nathan Rourke with bonuses will make over $1 million this year. That's a lot of money in the Canadian football. That's a lot of money.
Buffalo Tops is about what, half, like 500, right?
Nowhere close to that. No, he renegotiated.
No, I mean, Levi Mitchell.
I'm not sure off the top of my head. I think Mitchell's around like mid-4s.
Yeah, but it's just
you're just looking, and I think maybe you're right, Dan. About big problem in BC could be they just don't have enough money to have because you let Hollins go.
Yeah,
and you look in a game like this, and Whitehead retired. All of a sudden now this receiving core, it's not what it used to be. When Nathan Rourke had that crazy year, the receiving core in the BC Lions was absolutely stacked. It was insane.
Same with
now you're looking at
16-2.
But I mean, at the same time, you look at Vernon Adams Jr. in Calgary, or even Trevor Harris in Saskatchewan. They're getting it done with their top receivers out. Emilus was back tonight, but Emilus has been injured. Shane Bain Jr. has been injured. And Kiefer Schaefer Baker's been injured. So it's your top 3 wide receivers right there injured in Saskatchewan. And Trevor Harris is managing to put together a lot of good offense. Like, you even look at the game, besides of the game against Calgary, which is their only loss of the year, they're putting up, besides of that game in Calgary, their next lowest performance offensively is 28 points this year. Like, they're scoring.
It's crazy.
And they have such a good when you can score high 20s, low 30s every night, then have a defense that's so stacked in Saskatchewan. Now, the big question will be, what's the running game going to look like with Ouellette having to take all the carries now?
Well, we're going to see, I think we're kind of seeing the same thing in Winnipeg, too, with having to pay guys like Nick Dempsey and Brady Oliveira, along with Zach Claros and Louis Jefferson. You had to cut Adam Bighill. And Adam Bighill was a key part of that defense core. You couldn't afford to bring Ford back either, so he went to play with his brother in Edmonton. So we're kind of seeing a shift as
and Kenny Lawler,
and Kenny Lawler, right? So when we're starting, he's talking about seeing the shift in the CFL. I don't think it's just a shift in the CFL. I also think it's a shift of the young talent starting to get paid, which we should. But because of that, CFL teams are starting to look more like, some of them starting to look more like basketball and hockey teams when you got to get 5 big guys. And Wesley teams.
And that doesn't really work in football.
No, it doesn't. That's just what we're proving. The teams that went that well are not winning.
But now if we look ahead to Saskatchewan, you have Edmonton next week in Saskatchewan. And then after that, I'd say 3 out of 4 of their next games are tough. You have Edmonton, which you should win. But then you have Montreal, Hamilton, and Calgary again. Now, depending with Montreal, it really depends on
Thompson or Alexander.
Well, honestly, if I had to make an educated guess, I think Alexander's out 6 weeks.
I think so too.
That's why I don't understand Montreal playing him in that game against Toronto. Yeah, they got the win, but now you might literally lose Alexander for almost the rest of the season, and that's going to be tough.
And like Dan, like you brought up, right? You talk about the 5 big guys. The reason why you can do that in basketball, well, number one, you have an unlimited payroll, so you can pretty much pay whatever you want. Number two, 5 guys only have to be on the field on the court at one time.
Yeah,
you don't really need 5 guys. So if you can pay 5 guys lots and lots of money, then that's all you got to focus on. Football, there's so many different people on the field, and the CFL doesn't have the total salary cap that's big enough to say, well, we'll pick these 5 guys and then the rest will skimp on. Yeah, but you're selling, you don't have like millions and millions of dollars to be able to just pick those 5 guys and then find decent talent somewhere else.
But then too, you have teams like Winnipeg that didn't even spend up to the cap, which was bizarre with the Grey Cup being in Winnipeg. And I mean, Winnipeg is the most profitable team in the Canadian Football League, so they can spend the money.
Well, I was just going to say that, but maybe this is a topic for another episode, but we're seeing all of these players going up and talents going up. Why doesn't the salary cap go up? If you think about
the salary cap can't go up when revenue's not going up.
Canadian economy's bad.
The economy is bad in Canada. I don't want to get into it politically, but the economy is not very good right now. It's the same thing we're seeing, and I'm just going to say it's the same thing we're seeing in the WNBA. It's not that we're saying these athletes aren't worth the money. But if the leagues aren't making the profits to push the salaries up, and again, that's no disrespect to the talent. Like there's a lot of talented players in the Canadian Football League. There's a lot of talented players in the WNBA. But the salaries can't go up when the league revenues aren't going up in the same.
I guess I just forget.
Put a pause button on that one because I just seen tonight that Angela Reese got a shoe deal. So I think we're going to be seeing the WNBA going way up soon.
Which is great. And then if the league starts making crazy profits, then the salaries can obviously go
Caitlin Clark, baby.
Yeah, it has been the Caitlin Clark effect. And I think truthfully, I think the CFL was hoping Trey Ford and or Nathan Rourke were going to be that effect. And unfortunately, they just haven't performed.
Well, I just forget.
I dropped from Lane.
My mic was like, boom. Yeah.
So let me ask a crazy question here. I know
let me ask you a question.
I know we get the economy and we get Canada and all that. But in theory, all the teams except for Port Argos are selling tickets like crazy. So they're almost selling out all the other teams. You got the big deal from TSN. You got new owners like BC and Ottawa and Edmonton that want to put money into their teams. I'm sure the other teams want to put money too. Look how Calgary does saying the VA all that money. Look how Saskatchewan is building a great team and all that. So, and then the Argos, even though they're not selling tickets, they are the number one in the league by far by followers on social media, which brings in money. And we're also one of the number one teams of merchandise. And we're owned by Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment. So who cares if they make money or not? So my question is, why is the CFL not making money? Like, is this the commissioner's fault? Like, what is it? Because you're selling tickets. You got a TV deal. You got owners that want to spend money. You got good arenas for the most part. Why are you not making money? If you weren't selling tickets in all 9 cities, I would totally get what you're saying. But that's not true. You're selling tickets in almost every city. I hate to say Toronto. I'm sorry. The Toronto crowd is very loud, but it's also very small. Okay? But again, they make money in so many other areas that other teams don't, being in Toronto. So who do you start pointing the finger at? And what do you have to do to change this with the CFL? We talked about fan engagement. We talked about adding a 10th team. But you're right, Jacob. You can't really add a 10th team. The league's not making money. But do we need a stronger deal from TSN for TV revenue?
Which, by the way, I think that's coming. Money? I think that's coming. The TSN's TV deal, and this would be another topic. So I have to do more research on it. But the TSN deal ends this year. And you can tell with how much money TSN has put into the production this year. Yes. Whether we like them or not, they've added a 4th person in Luke Wilson to do Friday Night Footballs. all the graphics got changed. The intros got changed. The sets got changed. I don't know if you boys have noticed, but they're using a lot more microphones than they used to. There's more commercial slots than there used to be. So, I mean, we are seeing TSN is doing their best trying to do that. But I do wonder with the Canadian Football League, will they look to leverage to try to get a better deal? Because, I mean,
I think they have
the CFL will bring in TSN anywhere from 1.5 to 2.5 million views a weekend. Well, like from Thursday to Sunday or Thursday to Saturday once the NFL kicks in. And you look at the Grey Cup will still easily peak at like 10 million people watching it. So it's not like it's not getting eyes on it. So that is going to be something that the league will use for leverage. But the salary cap did go up this year. You do have to remember that for the first time in over 10 years, the salary cap went up this year.
That's true. So maybe we're on the white path.
A team like Winnipeg decided not to, which is mind-boggling to me. You have 10 straight sellouts, and like you have fans desperately going all the time. But to get kind of get back
Bombers arguably more than the Jets.
To kind of get back on track to this game, though, Saskatchewan's got to be feeling good about their first, I would say, 3.5 quarters. And I think they will be disappointed the way they let BC make this a much more respectable score. I mean, BC only lost by 6 at the end of the day, with kicking an onside kick with enough time left that they could have potentially won this one. Yeah. In a game that Saskatchewan should have had under control.
It wasn't like it was a blowout.
It should have been a blowout, though, Dan. So I think Saskatchewan will look at this and be like, okay, we have some tweaks we got to do. And if you're BC, I think you got to look at this. Look, this game was not as close as the score. We just got to be better.
Well, you said a lot of it was garbage yards, right?
But I say garbage yards. If they got that onside kick, then it might not have been garbage anymore.
Yeah.
Right? You would have had 15 seconds to go about 60, 70 yards, which is tough, but we've seen it happen.
Yep.
So you take a deep shot to one of your best receivers and have them just go up and get it. Now, again, for BC, Gatoy did leave this game with an injury and never came back. So time will tell if he, stays healthy or not. But I don't know. I think BC's really, they got to get James Butler involved more. He only had 9 carries for 30 yards. Like, yeah, it was Saskatchewan did a good job at sustaining the run. And I mean, they were down big so early. They kind of had to give up on the run game. But I think they'd like to get their running backs involved more. And BC's got to get ready because this Eastern swing could make or break them getting a crossover spot or not.
Because now BC records, 3-4?
The one perspective, they're 3-4. Toronto's 1-5. Ottawa's 1-4. So you have to look at it like it's not like BC's got a huge lead for the crossover position.
Edmonton's like 1-4, and Winnipeg's 3-2. Over 3-3.
I'll pull up the standings again so we can kind of look at them before we sign off for the night.
I didn't realize that Winnipeg played 2 less games. That's crazy.
Yeah, because they've already had 2 buys.
Yeah, that's bad for BC when you think about it.
Oh, it's really
if Winnipeg can somehow, if Trevor can steal 2 wins, that's so bad for BC.
So right now, however, you do have Winnipeg. They are the lowest scoring team in the Canadian Football League at the moment, I believe. They're either they're tied for Ottawa with the lowest offense in the league. So right now I got Calgary and Saskatchewan at first and second. Calgary currently has the lead because they won the season series.
Right.
However, I mean, Saskatchewan still does play Calgary one more time this year, so watch out for that. We have Winnipeg holding on to third with only playing 5 games, so that's how they have third.
And they're what, 3-2?
They're 3-2. BC's 3-4. I'll be honest, I'm going to say this now. I don't see Edmonton. It's going to be a tough hill to climb for Edmonton at this point, the same way I feel about Ottawa and Toronto. Now, moving to the East, we have Montreal back in first with 8 points of a 4-2 record. Hamilton right behind them, 3-2. Ottawa and Toronto both 1-5. However, both Toronto and Ottawa have not played BC yet. Right? If you win the season series if you win those games against BC, that's where it might come down for these 2 teams. Can they beat the Lions? Which one of these teams can beat the Lions?
Yeah.
Or if the Elks go on a run, which one of these teams can beat the Elks?
Mm-hmm.
I believe Ottawa's already played the Elks once, and that's the Elks' only win.
Right.
It's actually, sorry, the Elks are the worst offensive team with only 118 points in 5 games.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be tough, right? But, I mean, there is still a path in the East for both Toronto and Ottawa to make the playoffs. And there is still a path for the BC Lions to make the playoffs. But they're, depending on how their Eastern trip goes and depending on how long Claros is out, it might be through the East and not through the West.
Right, man. Makes sense.
Because of that lovely crossover.
Cool.
But I think it's time that we sign off for the night.
I think so.
So thank you very much, everyone, for watching the episode. Make sure you keep us locked in. We're going to have more content for you coming up over tomorrow. The Blue Jays are playing. We have Ottawa-Hamilton coming up, which is a really big game in the East.
Blue Jay game is awesome.
As an Argo fan, I can't figure out who is better if they win that one because a part of me says Ottawa's better to keep the race closer to Hamilton. Part of me says Hamilton's better because I don't know if Toronto can catch Hamilton. So you're damned if you do, damned if you don't right now. So go have fun tomorrow in the CFL. Should be a good game either way. Yes, Hamilton's the better team. Ottawa gave them a run for their money. So
I think Ottawa's going to pull an upset tomorrow.
I think it's very possible. But Lane's like, no way.
Oh, wee, baby.
99. I'm just kidding. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. I'm Jake Moore, the self-proclaimed sports analyst, joined by Lane Dashing-Co and Mr. Moore for your money.
Woo!
We'll see you back later in the weekend.
Bye-bye.